Oh wow, what's this? An unfinished video? We can't have that. I must finish it.
So, Meowzie's adventure was recently released, but there's a lot of unused stuff in the game. So, I'm going to show you that today. Enemies are probably the most well-known unused feature, and they were originally going to be in the full release, but they were scrapped due to scratch limitations. But if you've been following Meowzie's Adventures development, you probably already heard of enemies, but what you probably haven't seen are the actual designs for the enemies. You might be a bit confused by that, since technically all of the enemies were scrapped. But what I actually mean by that is enemies that were scrapped so early that they didn't get their own design. These enemies were the albatross, which was later replaced by the eagle, and at one point I was even considering a robot mole. There was actually going to be an Easter egg where if you type the word cough, all of the enemies on screen would wear a face mask, which I think is pretty funny. But since enemies were scrapped, so is this Easter egg. Okay, that's enough about enemies. Now let's talk about toys. Toys were basically just collectibles that spawned in a random color. They didn't really do much besides that. But before toys, there were actually toy tokens. When you collected them, they basically just gave you a toy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we get to some interesting stuff. I don't think power-ups were ever mentioned before, but they were considered. There would have been 3 power-ups. The first one would have been treats, which would give you 1 health back. The second one was the catnip power-up, which would have given you invincibility. And it actually has a finished invincibility track. Take a listen.
Alright, now to the part of the video from 2023. This unused feature was only present for a few builds as it would be replaced with an Easter egg in the main menu. To access it, you press up, down, left, and right all at the same time. At the time, the level select would work more like a level, music and all. Fun fact, this is where the level select music in the final game comes from. Boss arenas were an idea that were simply scrapped before ever being used. This is the reason why some levels in Early Access Edition were the same as Light Edition. While there were never any concepts or mockups made for this, I made some here. There is a concept for one of the bosses, not the boss arenas, just one of the bosses. It's this one. Yeah. For a few builds early in development, an orange flag was used due to a bug. It was later replaced with the red one that's still used today when we fixed the bug. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the stuff unused in Meow's Adventure 2. Here we go! Meow's Adventure 2 used to be a very different game, with completely different levels themed around cities. When we reset the game, we came up with new levels that were more diverse and less samey. The one exception is Undercity, which was called Cavern Town back in MA2's older versions. From what I remember, a good chunk of levels were finished before they were scrapped. I don't know if we still have these builds, however. At one point in development, we decided to try out the G-Develop engine instead of Scratch. This didn't last very long, and we moved back to Scratch with Catch Engine 2.0. The G-Develop test builds had built-in checkpoints. Because Catch Engine does not have a checkpoint system, this was scrapped. We found an older version of Dust Hill's music that was scrapped. I didn't add it to the game because it was too boring and basic. Take a listen. I found an old file select song from 2021 that's supposed to be used in MA2. It was scratched because it was basically the same as MA1. Take a listen. kind of forgot this existed. There's not much else to say here. Meow's Adventure 2 had another story involving Meowzie having to go to Hermione's place or something. Hermione was the villain, but we decided to change this when we did a reset on the game. We forgot to fix Cat's Engine 2 before releasing the game, so yeah, stability is an unused feature. We also forgot this existed. Again, not much else to say here.